This supply-side global experience documentary was underwritten by BGG. Supply side is the leading destination for the exploration, discovery, innovation, and market strategy that fuels the healthier marketplace. This is supply side's global experience. Natural products manufacturers are sourcing more ingredients from around the world. Scale and costs are the primary drivers, but there is growing interest in ingredients that combine modern science with traditional sensibility. China hits all these points. It has the ability to produce key ingredients at a large scale and low cost. And it has the resources to offer modern production while drawing upon an ancient tradition of botanical medicine. However, quality and safety problems have troubled China in recent years, especially in the food and supplement industries. China is a large country with a population of 1.35 billion. A labor force of about 1 billion. With thousands of food and supplement companies, the sheer numbers make safety and quality oversight very difficult. While China continues to try to stiffen up its regulation of these industries, manufacturers must rely on their own due diligence to find and partner with only the high-quality Chinese suppliers. In this edition of the Supply Side Global Experience, we head back to China to see how investments in science, technology, and strategic partnerships are driving innovation and quality and represent the best of the Chinese supply market.
Hi, I'm John Benninger. I'm here with my colleague Steve Myers, and we're here at the Ming Tombs, not far from the manufacturing headquarters of BGG here in China, to take you on our next adventure with the Supply Side Global Experience.
China's history of using botanicals to improve human health goes back thousands of years.
I'm standing in front of Beijing Tangrantan. This is the original location of the TCM shop here in Beijing. This shop is the exclusive supplier for the royal family's TCM needs.
About 345 years ago, Tangrantan started supplying people with botanical parts according to traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, herbal formulas honed over thousands of years of trial and error. Over time, these prescriptions of roots, stems, leaves, and flowers became more medicinal than magical, as shamans and practitioners gained knowledge about how these plants worked in the body. Today, TCM formulas are still available as compounded plant parts used to make decoctions or teas, but they can also be found in packaged powders, capsules, and other modern and innovative delivery forms, thanks to modern manufacturing techniques and continued research into active ingredients. Bringing herbal extraction and manufacturing into the modern era can only be done successfully by building a strategy around the growing research and science on active ingredients and manufacturing, according to Chunhua Li, founder and chairman of BGG, who has an extensive background in traditional Chinese and Tibetan herbs, as well as in pharmacology.
Many companies only look for some cheap sourcing, but that is not the right way. Only cheap means maybe not good quality. Yeah, we try to make use a modern system, modern quality control system, to control all of our process.
We have a very good technical background managed team, and Mr. Li and I and also other members in the management team are all from technical. And we understand what kind of traditional Chinese herbs have good benefits.
BGG has an extensive history of researching and developing Chinese plants and medicines, but the company is an example of how modern Chinese suppliers are evolving to source quality materials and scientific methods globally. We visited BGG's production facility in the Changping area of Beijing to see how investments in science and technology are driving quality and innovation in manufacturing botanical ingredients. One example of this is the process used to make high-quality bilberry extract. From entry to exit, all aspects of operations are controlled.
Everything in this room right now is frozen bilberry, and it was frozen immediately after its wildcraft harvest in Northern Europe. When it comes in here, it waits until production, and behind me here we have a capacity of up to 100 tons of frozen bilberries. That's enough for 1 week's worth of production, and by keeping them frozen from the harvest all the way up until the production, it ensures the quality of the material.
One important element of control is traceability.
Also, we need to do some traceability, to do research for traceability from land, from sourcing, to delivery, to purification, to manufacture.
The first instance of purification actually involves the water used during production.
So right now we're standing in the water purification room at BGG. I think it's notable that every drop of water that comes into the facility passes through here, where it goes through a sand filter, a carbon filter, softener, and then reverse osmosis to ensure that all of the water used in the production is highly purified and free of contaminants.
Once the raw material is in the closed production system, even the air is controlled.
So behind me here, they're actually manufacturing their own nitrogen that they use to preserve the product, because since most of these products are antioxidants, they're highly sensitive to oxygen. The purpose of the nitrogen, once it goes into the system, is to keep the oxygen away and preserve the product.
The extraction process occurs in large 10,000-liter tanks and is customized and highly controlled. Either stainless steel or glass-lined tanks are used, depending on the raw material and extraction process. While bilberry might go into the stainless tanks, licorice extraction can be corrosive and requires the glass liner. In either case, each batch is monitored for temperature, solvents, and time to ensure the resulting ingredients are standardized.
So in this room here, there are actually 3 things going on as the extract is prepared. First, it goes through these filters down here, and that removes the skins and other harder materials. From there, it then goes into these larger tanks across the way. That's where the chromatography actually separates the active ingredients out, the anthocyanins and such. And from there, we come over to this system here where the solvents are removed.
During purification, water and solvents are used to pull out desirable compounds like anthocyanins in bilberry, as well as to remove parts of the extract that aren't desired, such as sugars and impurities like heavy metals. Dr. Yan-Mei Li, who has a background in biochemistry and has been with BGG for 20 years, explained the importance of purification expertise.
We can develop a process to obtain a target compound, and also we have know-how in the impurity removal. So this is very difficult for the other producers to do. To gather a target compound is very easy. But if you want to remove the impurities like ppm or ppb levels, like heavy metals, pesticides, it's always not so easy to do. Yeah.
This is bilberry, and we collect the active ingredients, and then we concentrate. Then we can get some data and give some instruction to the production line.
So what you're learning here is how to optimize the processes or develop new processes to make the product better and better.
Yes, sure.
Interesting. What we just learned is while the equipment is very high tech, the most important factor is this knowledge that they've developed over time of how to treat the material within the equipment. Without that, you just don't know what you're going to get. But by applying this knowledge that they've acquired through their R&D, they're able to ensure the highest purity product that delivers exactly the material that they want.
Investing in research and development and maintaining an extensive R&D lab is one way suppliers like BGG are modernizing Chinese sourcing. Chairman Li said BGG spends a fixed 5% of its profits on R&D, with a goal for new products and international patents.
We look for long-term development. Now we do some research, some projects over 15 years, some new medicine research.
Back at the production plant, the bilberry extract, purified by high-tech equipment and R&D intelligence, moves on to spray drying.
To my left here, what we have is a control panel. Now this is not used for the entire process that we've been walking through, just for the spray extraction process, which is really important. This is where we actually remove the last bit of liquid and everything from the concentrate in order to have our dry material.
Final processing and packaging requires a sterile environment, so the plant is outfitted with a special HVAC system with complex air filtration.
So behind me here is the clean room, the air that we talked about earlier. This is the clean room, and the material comes into this room. It gets further processed and ultimately packaged into 10-kilo bags. Now what's interesting, each 10-kilo bag, in order to make that of this finished extracted dried bilberry product, requires 1,000 kilos of bilberries. So that's 100 to 1 concentration. So you can just imagine the amount of active ingredient in one capsule, how many bilberries you'd have to eat if you were going to eat them in order to get that. But by going through this whole process we just examined, it allows people to get all those benefits in a much smaller amount, something that you can actually do every day.
After packaging, the boxes of dried powdered extract are quarantined, while samples are tested for impurities and other specifications. Approved lots are ready to go out to customers, but out-of-spec material is subject to further investigation and corrective action. BGG maintains a full laboratory at its Beijing production campus, with an array of modern equipment for testing of samples as part of quality control.
Atomic absorption analyzes heavy metals. GC and MS are used to test for pesticides and solvent residues. Microbiological testing for yeast, mold, coliform, and salmonella is also conducted. UV testing can reveal total content of actives such as anthocyanins for bilberry. However, only HPLC provides detailed peaks and valleys of every different compound. This fingerprint can help determine adulteration and whether material is natural or synthetic.
Before opening up its own production and lab facility, BGG shared space and resources with IMPLAD, the Institute of Medicinal Plant Development in Beijing. We visited IMPLAD to learn about its wealth of resources, services, and partnerships with industry.
I am standing in a room filled with reference samples of medicinal plants grown in China. In this room, there are 10,000 samples representing 2,000 species of medicinal plants maintained by IMPLAD. The revitalization of this project has just begun and is expected to complete in about a year.
Along with its inventory of samples, IMPLAD has an extensive collection of reference standards on Chinese botanicals.
What we have here is a dried and pressed reference sample of this botanical that was collected in 1958. It characterizes the plant, the location where it was found, and the genus and species. In this room, there are rows and rows of lockers that house 60,000 such reference standards. The oldest of these standards dates back easily 100 years.
In addition to its library of standards and samples, IMPLAD's investment in equipment allows it to provide authentication and testing services for its partners, including the supplement industry and academia.
IMPLAD is working on revitalization and bringing medicinal plant development into the modern era. As a part of these efforts, behind me is a tunnel electron microscope. This is a very expensive investment, and this is one of two here in the complex. This microscope has the capability of magnifying 1 million times. It can see inside the cells of those very old plants.
One ongoing project is IMPLAD's vast medicinal plant garden in Beijing, which is home to more than 1,000 species, each marked with signs detailing nomenclature, medicinal parts, and benefits. Given its proximity to many top academic institutions, the garden welcomes thousands of students each year who come to learn about medicinal plant identification.
实际上，我们这个所从建所到现在。
Professor Li Dongzhou explained the various revitalization projects will take between 3 and 5 years and cost several $1 million each. Some will exceed $10 million, and one is more than $100 million. Resources for these projects are coming from many institutions, both inside and outside of China. He noted IMPLAD has many locations with top lab facilities and a great knowledge base that can help companies make better ingredients and products. Mr. Nanhui Tian, co-chairman of the board for BGG, explains IMPLAD's value to industry.
BGG has worked with IMPLAD and other institutions to develop healthy products from quality materials and modern techniques.
BGG works with scientists at China's top institutions to develop new applications for TCM and other herbs. For example, it recently partnered with Peking University to develop a Chinese herb extract that targets cholesterol health. Traditional botanicals are driving new product development with many Chinese suppliers. even as they look outside of Chinese tradition to new opportunities. BGG, for example, has been exploring the opportunities around astaxanthin. To learn more about the cutting-edge technology used to make astaxanthin, we visited BGG's 100-acre-plus algae cultivation facility in the Yunnan province of China. We met with Director and Chief Technology Officer Eric Pan, who walked us through the process of cultivating astaxanthin from Haematococcus pluvialis, a sensitive microalgae.
Every small change of the environment, such as light, temperature, and pH, will make them unhappy. The bloom of contaminations, like bacteria, microalgae, and fungi, will change their growth environment.
The town of Shilin, located in southwest China, provided the right mix of environment and sustainability for cultivation. The location sees 230 days of sunshine each year, with fairly stable temperatures between summer and winter. The plant is located in a geopark near the famed Stone Forest, so there is no heavy industry nearby, but there is good access to clean air and water. In 2009, BGG opened a pilot plant in Shilin and eventually settled on using a closed photobioreactor system.
The growth environment is controlled by enclosing the algae within glass tubes with purified water, carbon dioxide, and growth media. Water is pumped from underground wells and filtered by reverse osmosis.
Based on the pilot project, BGG built a 100-acre-plus cultivation facility on-site and started full-scale production in 2013. It is currently home to 1,000 kilometers of glass tubing and has a capacity of 2 tons of pure natural astaxanthin per year. The glass tube system offers fast water flow, which limits sedimentation and is easy to clean in place. The process starts with a beaker filled with sterilized growth medium and placed in a clean incubation room for 1 week to begin growing microalgae. The mixture is then transferred to outdoor photobioreactor panels where the algae receive more food and a bit of sunlight for additional incubation. From here, the mixture goes into the glass tube system.
Behind me here you can see all the glass tubes where the algae is in various stages of its growth, from the beginning all the way through to when it gets deep red, when it's rich with astaxanthin.
Each batch is sample tested daily for quality control. It can take between 1 and 2 weeks for a batch to reach its target concentration.
After those 2 weeks of incubation, as it's growing and eating all of that food that they're giving it, they cut the food off. Absolutely no more food for these poor little algae. What happens is they get stressed and they produce astaxanthin, and they turn this beautiful red color.
The glass tubes allow sunlight to help produce astaxanthin, but temperature must still be controlled by periodically running water over the tubes.
Once it is done and it's that deep red rich with astaxanthin, it comes in these tubes you see running above my head directly from the glass through here into these tanks behind me.
After 99% of the water is removed, the material is packaged and stored in a freezer at -18 degrees Celsius before it is air freighted to Changping for extract production.
Because of the world demand for astaxanthin, what the company is planning is to expand this, nearly tripling their output just in the next year.
In addition to expansion, BGG is investing in R&D to develop new applications and delivery forms for astaxanthin, as well as ways to produce other beneficial compounds from microalgae. Astaxanthin extract is in oleoresin or oil form, which is good for cosmetics and soft gels that are stable and block microalgae odors. Use in foods or beverage may require a protective form such as microencapsulation or powder.
By making it to a powder form, we actually not only block the odor, we also keep the oxygen from the material in the core of the powder particles.
Dr. Ding's team is also developing a supercritical CO2 extraction process as demand increases worldwide for solvent-free astaxanthin extraction. Reflecting the long-term focus Chairman Li noted, the astaxanthin R&D team in Shilin is using its current cultivation technology and lab resources to look beyond astaxanthin.
The tubular PBR systems is the most efficient systems for producing astaxanthin. So we are research to produce EPA, DHA, fluoxetine, beta-carotene, and any other compound which is benefit for humans' health.
Chinese companies focused on innovation and quality are boosting the China ingredient supply market.
Some of those little fly-by-night companies that were pretty much nobodies 10 years ago are becoming better and better.
Yeah.
Early on, BGG had quality built into its processes to accommodate international pharmaceutical partnerships. But other Chinese companies have dramatically improved their quality and are now facing monthly audits by international supplement companies.
So I'll go into a factory and I'll come back 6 months later and all those, things that I didn't like the previous time have been fixed. If there's anything I would say to anybody that does business in China is they need to do that due diligence.
Get out here.
You have to get out of here. There's too many companies that are still doing that dog and pony show that say they make it, but in reality they don't make your product. And you have no idea who you're really getting your product from.
So Steve, after a week in China, touring around, going from the farms, the fields, the factories, the labs, talking to all the people and seeing firsthand the types of investments that are being made to drive not only safety and quality, but innovation from China, I just have to ask you what your impressions are.
Well, my first impression is there's a lot of effort going into moving China forward, moving ingredients from China forward. The innovation, the investment in product development, and it's really important to see this firsthand.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't see that. When we think about what we hear about China a lot, we hear about, low prices or inexpensive manufacturing. And we certainly hear about quality problems and safety issues, and those are real, and we'll continue to cover those. But by coming over here, I think we got a whole different view, a view of where China's going and how it is really leading in the global supply chain.
This Supply Side Global Experience documentary was underwritten by BGG.